Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My hair is all crazy because I decided I didn't want to do it. Today I'm so excited. I can't believe I haven't done a mukbang on this before, but I am making homemade macaroni and cheese. I have made homemade macaroni and cheese so many times. Given that we're in a quarantine right now, I thought it would be fun to just use whatever cheeses that I have in my refrigerator. So I've never made this before. It's gonna be an experiment. All right, let's get started cooking. All right, it was extra cheesy when I put it in the oven. I've made the mistake before of not having enough cheese sauce before doing baked mac and cheese, and it ends up being super dry. So I'm really hoping that this is nice and creamy. I did a topping here. I kind of wish I did only cheese, but it is nice and crispy. All right, I just kind of want to move it around. Oh, it's so cheesy. It's so cheesy. Oh, I'm just gonna screw it up. I want you guys to see it. Oh my goodness. All right, now y'all can see it better. Oh my gosh. That is so good. That goat cheese is key. It's got such a nice tang. And the aged Gouda actually that I used has a really nice tang too. I didn't use all that much of it. So next time, if I'm like intentionally buying cheese to make mac and cheese, I think I would love to do like Parmesan and the Gouda, like equal amounts of those. I love adding Velveeta, by the way. Some people are like, ugh, Velveeta. I love it. And then I added that triple cream, which is like, oh my gosh. That and the Velveeta make it so creamy. So hot. Oh my gosh. So there's no cheddar in this. I feel like every mac and cheese recipe I see is like just cheddar cheese, and some other random non-exciting cheese. Not everyone, but I feel like people don't really take advantage of obscure cheeses enough. That's why I love doing homemade mac and cheese with just whatever I have in my fridge, because it forces you to use things you wouldn't necessarily use normally. It's so rich. So rich. By the way, this is my designated mac and cheese spoon, because regular spoons are too small for mac and cheese. I'm not sure if you guys can see the steam. You can see the steam over there. Mm. Not sponsored. Mm. So when I first started making homemade mac and cheese, I would always start with the bechamel. And bechamel is a mother sauce, and it's basically just a white cream sauce. And you start it by making a roux, which is basically just flour and butter. You melt butter in a pan, you add flour, cook off the flour a little bit, get rid of the floury taste, and that becomes like a thicker kind of mixture. And then you slowly add milk into it, and it just like immediately thickens it up. Really, any liquid that you would add, it would just immediately thicken it up. And so once you have the milk, the cream, and the butter in a thick sauce, you can then add cheese to it, and then you can use it for mac and cheese. For this recipe, you saw all I did was heat butter and milk in the same pot that I cooked the noodles in, added the pasta back in, and then just added the cheese in, and it just melts. And you're able to add things as you go. Like for me, I'm like, I don't know how much I'm gonna need because I'm just using all the cheese that I have. And so I just kept adding and adding and adding until it looked creamy enough that it wouldn't dry out in the oven. And then when I was on Guy's Big Project, my mac and cheese recipe there, I basically just melt a stick of butter again. I add heavy cream and I reduce the heavy cream by half. And then I add all of my cheese in, and like there's my cheese sauce. So you really make your own rules. Like Southern mac and cheese, you add eggs to. You don't even melt everything. You literally just like throw everything in with like undercooked pasta and throw it in the oven, and it ends up becoming almost like mac and cheese bread pudding. So my point of telling you this is there's no like hard rules for making mac and cheese. Use what you have, get creative. The only thing I will say is cheese does burn. And so whenever you are adding your cheese to whatever sauce that you're using, just make sure you're doing it on a low temperature, like that your stove is set to low. That's it. How much have I eaten? Let's push it to one side so I can get a gauge. Oh, and the other thing, whenever you're making mac and cheese, you should always undercook your pasta, just a little bit. Even if you're making stovetop mac and cheese, when you drain your pasta and you put it into the cheese sauce is hot, it's going to cook your pasta at least a little bit more. I love my pasta al dente, so typically if I'm making mac and cheese, I cook it below al dente, like I'll like half cook the macaroni. If I'm baking it, 100% half baking the macaroni. Stovetop, again, doesn't need to be too severely underdone. You just have to think about how much longer is my pasta going to cook after it's been in boiling water. Is it going into the oven? Is it going back on the stove? For how long? And the longer it sits, the drier it gets. And so you want to add more liquid than you think you need, like I did. And honestly, it still looks like there's not a whole lot of sauce. It just like soaks it up. All right, guys, well, I feel like I ate a really good chunk of this, actually. It's so hard to tell when you're making a big plate of food like this, but I ate that whole amount. Yeah, that's a lot. So I'm gonna be putting this in the refrigerator so it can be staring at me the 20,000 times I'm going to the fridge during the day now. I hope my little mac and cheese lesson helped you, made you feel a little bit more comfortable with being able to experiment with your own homemade mac and cheese. This isn't necessarily a recipe. I did jot down the amounts of everything I put in, and so I'll put that in the description for the video. Feel free to make this recipe, but I really encourage you guys to just take the cheeses that you love and try something out. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I hope that this taught you a little bit about how to make mac and cheese and made you feel a little bit more comfortable making your own unique version. Comment below what you thought about this video and what you'd like to see me eat next, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.